What's the dumbest thing an ex ever said to try and win you back? Viewer edition.
I don't think I've ever had an ex try to win me back. No. Wait, no. No, I think in high school I did have one where her sister tried to talk me back into it. And I did not. The breakup was bad enough the first time because I did it after a week over the phone on her birthday. Not intentionally. I didn't know it was her birthday when I called. I only knew after she dropped the phone crying and her sister screamed at me. That's a true story. Don't break up over the phone, folks. Story 1. My ex accused me of cheating at every corner she could. Note, my dad cheated on my mom when I was a kid. Got to see all their explosive arguments, the divorce, the consequences of cheating. So anyway, she would always accuse me with no proof, and I've never cheated. We're at the beach one day, and there's a beach bar with 50 people atop, me and my 10 friends and her friends. I go over to say hi to her, and she's crying. I say, "What's wrong?" Her friends all start shunning me, telling me how crappy I am, what a horrible garbage being I am. Turns out she told her friends I cheated on her, and she caught me under the beach bar making out with some girl. None of it was true, and I had all my friends to back me up because I was playing center in volleyball the entire time. Also, in the end, I found out she cheated on me. You know, I have heard that little thing, that little nugget of wisdom that says that the people who seem most concerned about their partner cheating on them and are paranoid about it tend to, more frequently than not, be cheaters themselves. It's probably why they're paranoid about it, because they know that it can be done. Story 2. A couple years ago on DeviantArt, I had this online girlfriend that lied to me about her age. She said she was over 18, but in reality she was 16. This was when I was 19. I found out her real age and broke up with her because I was not going to risk jail time over that. This was my wake-up call to never do online dating like that again. A fight ensued, and she said, and I quote, "If you loved me, you would fight for our relationship." Sorry. To which I responded, "So you expect me to not be mad at how you lied to me about your age and fight for an illegal relationship?" And she said yes. I blocked her and never did online dating again. My God, I was stupid back then. Yeah, there's a little age range there, and I know there's like weird Romeo and Juliet laws. I don't know how they work, and I don't want to, folks. But like, once you turn like 18, 19, it's like you don't want to be with someone who's not technically an adult. It kind of instantly becomes creepy. So, yeah, I don't blame you for being a little skeeved out. But hey, online dating works out later in life. I met my partner through online dating, well into our 30s, so.
Story 3. The intention was to win me back, but in a weird, twisted way. So in 10th to 11th grade, I had an abusive, volatile relationship with this guy in my class who eventually cheated and then broke up with me to date the younger girl he was cheating on me with. While my pride was stung that he broke up with me via text, I figured I might as well be happy that I was out of the controlling relationship. Then when I was walking the halls my senior year, I saw him with his new girlfriend. I was gonna just ignore them, but he called after me and wanted to introduce me to his girlfriend. I played nice up until she left, and he told me point blank after blatantly checking me out, "Damn, if things don't work out with her, I'm gonna have to come and find you." Not knowing what else to say, I laughed awkwardly and told him that I was going to be late for class. True to his word, he did try to win me back with heaps of praise and affection after his girlfriend broke up with him. It all seemed schemy and manipulative. Needless to say, I didn't take him back. Story 4. Not my story, but my dad's. So he and his ex were fighting, and she said, "Leave, we're done." And my dad said, "Okay." And my dad described her face going from smug to, "Wait, what?" As he was backing out of her driveway, she came running up to the window and started crying about how she can't live without him and stuff. All my dad said after that was, "You told me to leave, and so I will." 2 years later, after he had me, she called him and said, "Did you ever think of me? Have you ever thought of getting back together?" My dad said, "Nope, not ever. I'm happily married." She didn't take that lightly. She then replied with something among the lines of, "I hate you. I never loved you." In the middle of her rant, my dad hung up laughing so hard, and my dad doesn't laugh much, but he described it as the worst attempt to get someone back.
I never like it when someone in an argument, when they're in a relationship, where they decide to weaponize the idea like, you know what, why don't you just leave if you're so unhappy? Like, if you don't genuinely mean that, if you don't genuinely have like breaking up or divorce or whatever in mind, and you choose to weaponize this idea of breaking up, that's a crappy thing to do. Like, that's a weird low blow in a relationship argument, I think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to know what you all think, but if someone said that to me, it'd be like, wow, we were arguing about something that I didn't think that was, I thought it was like this serious, but apparently it's like this serious if you're going to bring that crap up.
Story 5. When I had a girlfriend in 8th grade, I found she was super clingy, and as much as I loved how loving she was then, she was too clingy for me. I broke up with her, and this year she decided that adding me on Zoom repeatedly was a good idea to try and get me back. I like someone else now, she likes me, but let's just say I've been avoiding my ex as much as I can. Story 6. When I was in 7th grade, I dated my guy best friend. It was going smoothly until he made fun of my eating disorder, any other things I was born with, my autism, ADHD, etc., and the insecurities he gave me. At the time, I was short and younger than a lot of kids. It never bothered me till he mentioned it. But when I called him emo, I was in the wrong because he was insecure about it. May I mind you, he chooses to look and dress what seems to be emo. After a while, I started hating myself and thinking I was ugly, but he never cared when I told him about it. He ignored me and talked about how sad and miserable his life was. It came to a point where I had to yell at him so he would listen, but he wouldn't take me seriously unless I called him the name of my dead cat. I told him it made me uncomfortable calling him that multiple times, but he brushed it off. Well, it's your cat, not mine. After a few months, we split up. He then sends me a text months later on how he's going to kill himself. So I told my school guardian counselor. He went to a mental hospital, but he texts me after he supposedly had his phone taken away. Be patient, little or young one. I blocked him after that. My life was actually a lot better until he sent me an email. He said I made his life a nightmare and how some ghost will do the same to me. I will admit, I wasn't the best either, so I don't blame him 100%, but at the same time, a nightmare? That's a stretch. He ended up spreading rumors that caused me and my girl best friend to not like each other as much as we did. We've been friends since 2nd grade. Ever since then, I've been living my life and try to be more social just to pee him off. He's an a-hole and he truly needs more than mental help.
Hey, that person sounds like, they weren't a good friend or boyfriend. Don't jokingly make fun of attributes about your partner unless you explicitly know that it's like an inside joke you're okay with. And even then, you gotta be careful. Like, you know, there can be the things that you know for a fact you and your partner are okay with. You're not trying to like make fun of them or talk down to them. It's just like a quirk between the two of you can make fun of, but you don't do that kind of crap with people. I don't like it. Like, it might start off as a joke, but that's gonna chip away at someone.
Story 7. My last girlfriend was one of those, don't worry about the probably close to 100 other guys she talked to type. The relationship started slow, but when it did eventually get rolling, though, she eventually started working. I'm sure many of you see where this is going. Well, there was one particular guy she worked with that I told her made me really uncomfortable. Her amazing plan after this was to cancel our date to see fireworks together and decided she wanted to bring him instead of me. I at this point told her I was just about positive that she was cheating, and whenever I started bringing it up as a problem, she would either get extremely mad at me or would eventually say she wanted to break up. The excuse she always gave was that she wasn't sure if she wanted to be single or not, but how does that work when basically as soon as this guy turned 16, she slept with him? She's 18. I gave her one more chance after that, and she left again for someone other than either of us, and then this 16-year-old is messaging me for advice to win her over and telling me he wants to hit/off himself. Honestly, I'm not sure if a relationship is worth it after that, since there were 2 other girls before her who followed the same pattern, and the stress was starting to seriously affect my mental health all 3 times I've been in a situation like that. Story 8. As per my abusive high school girlfriend who I broke up with after she tried to force a threesome with her drug dealer to pay her debts, I was a virgin at the time, she texted me a long letter of a text from a burner phone since I had blocked her on everything. Lots of gems there, but my personal favorite was, I just want to apologize and get this off my chest so I can heal from everything and move forward. My husband doesn't understand why I still think about it at all, but I still really miss you. Keep in mind, this was 8 years after we broke up. Story 9. Dated a woman that I thought was just the absolute best. Long story short, she stopped returning my calls. I was only trying to break up with her. 2 weeks later, she shows up at my apartment and says she wants to break up because she is seeing someone else. I was like, had you answered my calls, this conversation would be unnecessary. She tried to get violent. I'm 6 foot tall, she's 5'4". I told her to get the F out. The dude she cheated on me with happened to be a friend. I saw him a few weeks later and he literally physically recoiled upon seeing me. I was just like, dude, be careful, she is bat crap. A few months later, I heard she beat him so badly that he had to be hospitalized. More months pass. She calls me and asks to see me again because she now knows that she effed up. I told her to never contact me ever again and hung up. Never heard from that psycho again. Story 10. Was with a girl for a good 4 months or so, and the entire time we were together, she would try to control who I talked to. This included guys and girls, even though I'm straight and have a deep hatred for cheaters, and made sure she knew that. After she tried to get me to stop being friends with my 2 best friends at the time, I broke up with her. She proceeded to threaten self-termination, and young dumb me decided to stay the first time. This same situation repeated itself, and that's when I had enough. I wasn't mentally stable either at the time. Depression is a B. But apparently better than her because she jumped out a window trying to off herself. Fortunately, she just broke her arm, and being the young dumb kid I was, 14 or 15, I stayed up all night to wait for news from her brother who blamed me for the entire ordeal. After that happened, we went our separate ways, though she was against it. About a year later, she sent me a text on my Insta and wanted to get back together. I reject her, and she proceeds to occasionally text me every so often for a few more months until I block her completely and change my tag.
Folks, these are the kind of relationships that you need to watch out for. The people who are going to emotionally manipulate you with stuff and control who you're talking to, be it, it doesn't matter what, gender or anything that you are, partners and stuff. If your partner is trying to control who you're talking to and is trying to, emotionally manipulate you, especially with threats of taking their own life, that's super not healthy. And I'm not saying that you need to absolutely leave that person if that happens, but you need to have a discussion and they need to have therapy, something. Something needs to happen because it's not okay.
Story 11. We should get a drink and talk things out. This was 2 years after he broke up with me because we wanted different things. As in, he wanted intercourse all the time for every little thing he did and never wanted me to go out with my friends because that cut into our time together. And I wanted a relationship where I was respected and intercourse wasn't the main focus. Months later, I realized he was using me and even assaulted me once, but gaslit me into thinking it wasn't that. So when he texted that to me a couple years later, I laughed and blocked him. Story 12. The craziest thing one of my exes did to get back to me was she literally tried to overpower me and force herself on me one night. It was pathetic because she's half my size, so it wasn't going to work anyway, but I didn't really know whether I should have reported it or not. Story 13. So he made me feel trapped, anxious, and like I had to justify everything I say, do, and think, and got mad when I ignored him, didn't want to talk to him for reasons. He broke up with me yesterday, and today asked a mutual friend to convince me to unblock him to sort things out, and literally all he did was ask how I feel, apologized, and asked if we can go back to how it was because he misses talking to me. Story 14. If you don't come back to me, the failure of our marriage will be all your fault. After over 3 years of insults, put-downs, gaslighting, multiple false accusations of infidelity, manipulation, social isolation, and finally her leaving me for another guy, my first wife was incensed that I had found a real love at last. What she had done to me was meaningless. I laughed, told her that I would try to bear up under the guilt, and hung up the phone. 37 years later, I'm still married to number 2.
I love when people are like, if you don't come back, then, this relationship falling apart is on you. Okay, sure, I want out of the relationship, and if I'm the one to blame for getting out of something bad and finding something good, I'll take the blame.
Story 15. My ex tried to talk crap about me to my girlfriend to make my girl dislike me. Let's call my girl Sapphire. And obviously Sapphire thought that was stupid, and they were really close friends that my ex started to talk crap about Sapphire to me, which I knew it was stupid and didn't block her because me and Sapphire were screenshotting and sending the crappy insults and laughing at them. So at the end, my ex blocked me and Sapphire, and later my ex used her cousin's Insta to talk to me and try to win me over, and after saying leave me alone and ignoring all the audio messages, and after some days my ex went to Sapphire's house to talk to her, Sapphire left her hanging outside and my ex stayed there for 1 whole hour doing absolutely nothing. Me and Sapphire are still happily boyfriend and girlfriend. Edit. F everything I just said. Sapphire is a butt and manipulated me into thinking she's a whole different person than from what she actually is. That whole relationship was a lie. Story 16. Not an ex, but I had a similar car hostage situation with one of my friends, in quotations because no friend should act like this. This friend had in the past said in a group convo at my best friend's house, we're really close with one another and we have loads in common, don't we? When I had barely even spoken to him, so I bluntly said, well, I wouldn't say we're close, we've not spoken much, and he got really peed off and overreacted. He would get jealous of another guy I was seeing at the time and make strange remarks about it. He even said to my best friend that he thought he had me in the bag after literally the first time we had a conversation with each other. He also had asked that same best friend which road I lived on at the time and then proceeded to ask which exact house, which she didn't tell him, thankfully. I don't know why, but a few months went past without us talking, and I just assumed his weird obsession with me would have fizzled, so I asked if he wanted to go to the cinema to see a film of a live band we both liked. He said yes, and I clearly said to him that we're going as just friends and it's not a date or anything, and he said he was cool with it, and he's past all that, and he's just cool with us just being friends. So I thought it was sweet, and he drove us there. Film was pretty cool, he didn't try anything weird, and we watched it. Fast forward to when he drove me home, I was chatting away about the film, and he was just dead silent, and I could feel the anxious energy coming from him, so I felt uncomfortable and stopped talking. After about 5 minutes sitting in silence, he just says, "So do you want to come back to mine and have some drinks?" Bear in mind it was getting late, and I just wanted to go home, and after his past attitude toward me, I didn't really fancy going on my own and staying at his. I'd gone to him with groups of our friends before, but never on my own. I said, "No, not tonight, I'm feeling pretty tired and just want to get back." Then he blew up on me and said, Why? Why did you invite me to the cinema with you? I thought you were giving me a chance. Now I feel really stupid, etc., etc. I was like, whoa. I said to you before we left we're going as friends. I felt pretty scared for my life, not gonna lie, as he was so angry it completely missed the point that it was possible he would kidnap me or something. He was also taking the long route to mine, and I had to say to him a few times, "Can you just take me home, please?" Especially with his strange obsession with me in the past. That's what my mind went to, but he eventually drove me back home. I never walked so fast up to my front door in my life. Looking back on it, it was a pretty bad idea to invite him in the first place, really. Once someone feels a certain way towards you, it doesn't usually change unless you do something to change it. I was naive and young at the time, so lesson learned for sure.
I get it. You wanted to try and be friends, You were like, look, I'm not interested in the relationship. They were too intense. Maybe we can preserve a friendship in here. And I think that's an okay thought, but yeah, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily work out. I had that with someone once where I kept saying, no, I'm not interested in dating, but we can be friends. We can be friends. And eventually they wore me down, and I did agree to it. And, it's nothing on them. They were in, I was a freshman in high school and they were like in 8th grade, 1 year below me or whatever. So we weren't smart about things. So this is absolutely no shade on this person. But if you want to know how that relationship ended, it ended a week later when I called her on her birthday and broke up with her without knowing it was her birthday. I swear I didn't know. It's so true. I wish it wasn't.
Story 17. When I broke up with my ex a couple of years ago, at first he tried to play it cool and he tried to say that he was okay with it. But 5 minutes later proceeded to bash me on over crap that was his own fault to begin with. When we were together, he would make plans to go on dates together, but when the time would come, he would change his mind the very last second. Anytime I would ask him to do any chores around the house, he would either not do it or put the bare minimum effort into making it completely pointless, and when I broke up with him, he had the gall to tell me that I never appreciated anything he did. Kinda hard to appreciate something that you put little to no effort in, pal. Story 18. My ex tried to win me back by telling me, "I forgive you for cheating on me, so can't we just go back to how it used to be?" I didn't cheat. She did it with a mutual acquaintance that kept bragging about how they're dating to people we know. It didn't take too long until the word got to me and I broke up with her. To this day, she still insists to everyone that she broke it off and that she did not cheat on me. She and the dude often post photos of their date together on Facebook, but whenever someone comments, "We're just friends." Story 19. Not an ex trying to get me back, it's just someone who had a crush on me. We became friends around 5th or 6th grade. Around 7th grade, this was during online school, the teacher made breakout rooms so everyone could go into their groups and do the work. Well, this one day 2 girls from our group didn't show up, so it was just me and her. When we were done with our work, we were just chatting about random stuff. Then all of a sudden, she just types in chat, "Oh yeah, by the way, I had a crush on you in 5th or 6th grade," which knocked me off guard, like what the F was I supposed to say? I pretended I didn't see anything and just changed the subject. Well, around 8th grade, when we were in person, I noticed that this girl would, how do I say this? Touchy and invasive. I never let her touch me, but I just remember her getting mad whenever I stopped her from doing that. Also, some invasive things she would do was try to be in my personal life as much as possible, tried to lay her head in my lap, and actually tried several times to sit on my lap. Obviously, I didn't like what she was doing, confronted her about it, and she said something along the lines of, "I did it because I thought we liked each other." Excuse me, but what does me literally pushing you away several times gave mean that I like you? Story 20. Used to date a girl for 2 months when I was 22. In the end, she broke up with me via WhatsApp. Half a year later, we met at a party and she asked me why I didn't try to win her back. I mean, I had pretty low self-esteem, but I was not that desperate. A year later, she started dating one of my back then best friends. He asked me if I was okay with it and said, sure. After that, every time I come to parties with female friends and later my girlfriend, she started talking crap about me, like how bad I was in the bedroom. When she realized this didn't work, she started provoking them to make them look like they're crazy or something. She made it so awkward that my former friend and I stopped seeing each other because she always needed to be there. Friendship lost, lesson learned.
I cannot stand the, "Oh, I just wanted to see if you'd fight for me or try to win me back." Nope, don't play those games. You want to play games? Go to the arcade. Go to the carnival. But don't break up a relationship to test it out. Or do, because I will always willingly lose that game. Thanks.
Story 21. I had a crazy ex that was into me for being nice, caring, and such, according to her words, despite the fact knowing that I was being friendly. I had an on and off relationship as I met her. Long story short, I ended up having feelings for her when she decided to go back to her ex. Little did I know that she wanted me to ask her out and have her cheat on her ex-boyfriend with me. Turned out that she was dating a lot of her ex-boyfriends behind my back that I found out from her ex-boyfriends alone that wanted to expose the truth about her in a group chat. She thought by going back to her exes would make me jealous and wanting to fight them over her. In addition to trying to get back together with me by trying to ruin a relationship that I was in and playing the victim card along with playing to KYS. It was an epic fail, and I have never looked back since then after I was willing to calm her down as an acquaintance for that short period of time. Story 23. God made me cheat on you because I told him I loved you more than him. My ex told me this after we broke up for over a year. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.